let's get into the news of the day here. Yesterday, Biden was, speaking with King Abdullah of Jordan, and I don't know if you saw this video. Do we have the video, actually, of him wandering around the podium?
Over to you.
Okay, now he doesn't know where to stand. He's looking at the ground, looking for tape. That's what he's looking for. He's looking for a tape mark. And he goes and stands behind King Abdullah. And he's like, I'm sorry. And he realizes he's on the wrong side. Like it matters. But he's just taking his orders. It is really, it's really been an amazing thing. And really what happened, why this is so important right now is because of Special Counsel Robert Hur. He did a report last week, but just let me bring you up to speed in case you didn't. The handling of all of the classified documents that, Biden said, hey, they were secure. No, they weren't. They were sitting in a box next to your Corvette. That's not secure for top secret documents, okay? It's just not. But Hur comes out and he says, well, he just appeared in the testimony while we were investigating this. He just seemed like a nice old, well-intentioned man who doesn't remember much. Doesn't remember much. What? He couldn't tell us when he was vice president and couldn't tell us when his son died. Okay, that's a problem. That's a problem. Now, I think, first of all, Grassley and everybody else that are, oversight on all of this, Grassley and Ron Johnson, they've asked for that tape. They want to see it themselves. I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Biden was kind of all there, was not a doddering old fool, could answer when he was vice president. I think there's a movement to get Joe Biden out by the Democrats. Now, I'm not saying that, I think you're going to find that he was a doddering old fool on that tape. But there is a movement now to get him out because his poll numbers are remarkably low. He doesn't have a chance when it comes, if he's the guy, there won't be any debates. And can you imagine how bad he'll be in 6 months from now? So yesterday, if we have the Kamala Harris, see if we have it. No, we don't. Yesterday, Kamala Harris came out, and she was asked by the Wall Street Journal, so, Biden looks like there's a chance that he's not going to make it. Are you ready to be vice president? What she said is really, really important. She said, I'm ready to serve. There's no question about that. Now, that's a bold statement for any vice president to make. I don't know of a time where a vice president has made that. If they have, and I can't think of one, but if they have, they've gone on to say, but the competence of this president is not in question. He is fine, and there's no need for me to be prepared other than every vice president needs to be prepared, okay? She didn't say that. She didn't say that. This is a first. She's always answered that question like I just said a vice president answers that question. In defense of her president, she's not saying that this time. The problem is, how are you going to get this guy out? His family is all for it, just getting rich off of his back. His family, I think, is engaged in elder abuse. This is one of the worst families I think I've ever seen. Anybody who would treat their father or their grandfather like this and let him make a fool out of himself like this is not a good family. They don't care. But if the family is for him serving, and he is for him serving, you have to invoke the 25th Amendment. The only one that can really do that, the cabinet has to have support, and it has to start with the vice president. So the vice president is going to have to be the one to come out and say, we have to invoke the 25th Amendment. Will she do that? And then what happens to the election? Because she's the only person, get this, she's the only person in Washington that has a lower score of likability than Joe Biden. She's, she likes school buses, and maybe school buses like her, but not a lot of the drivers like her. Now, that's something to watch. There's something else, and this is absolutely a Glenn Beck theory. I have nothing to base this on. I just, as a fiction writer, let me put that hat on and tell you something that I noticed a pattern of, and it's because I read the story that is completely disconnected from this story that I just told you. But I read this story first, and then I read another story that I'm going to tell you about next, back to back. And it got me to thinking. And it's a complete, this is just a fictional theory. But I want you to hear it next. Let me give you this story. Tucker Carlson fired back at former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton on Monday, calling her a child after she criticized his interview with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Carlson was blamed by Clinton, and Clinton called him a useful idiot during an interview that aired Wednesday evening on MSNBC. That's weird because today is Wednesday. Carlson brushed the criticism off at the appearance of the World Government Summit. Okay. Hillary Clinton called this gentleman, speaking of Carlson, this honorable gentleman, that he is playing the role of you say it, prompting Carlson to say that he hadn't seen Clinton's interview. And he was wanting to say, useful idiot, but you say it. He didn't. Instead, he said, I didn't see the interview, and Hillary Clinton is a child. I don't listen to her. By the way, how's Libya doing? Great put down. Great response. Now, the thing is, where did he say this? He said this at the World Government Summit 2024 in the Middle East. Why was he at the World Government Summit 2024? He just left Moscow, where he was meeting with Vladimir Putin. Just a few weeks before, wait a minute, he was speaking with Malay. And then before that, he was in Hungary speaking with the head of Hungary. Wow. He's getting a lot of experience. He's going to be, this is my first thought, he is taking the place of all of those respected journalists that we had at one time where we respected them, and they would go and do the big, heavy interviews, and they talked to all the world leaders. And then I thought, wow, he'll know all the world leaders and have spoken to them personally, which is weird because I'm not sure Kamala Harris has done all that, which then made me think, wait a minute, Vivek Ramaswamy and Tucker Carlson are the ones that were on the list, the top two names given to Donald Trump of who they'd like to see as a vice presidential nominee. And when I first read that or heard that from the president, he said, I said, file it away. Immediately, my thought was, Tucker's a TV guy, though. Not going to do that. Maybe he'd be a spokesperson for the president. He'd make a great White House spokesperson. Not the vice president. He doesn't have the experience. Wait a minute. Yes, he does now. Stu, this is complete fiction. Complete fiction.
I like it as a hot take. I don't know that I believe it, but,
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Yes.
But It would be smart
It's a fun
of Donald
theory.
Trump.
If you were setting this up, I mean, this would be the type of thing that you'd want him to be doing, right? Like to be on the major, stage like this. I mean, I don't know that interviewing these world leaders necessarily gets you vice presidential experience per se, but look, Tucker Carlson has had a lot of experience in this world. He's been around for a long time. He knows these topics.
He grew up in Washington. He knows that town. He knows how it works.
And it's certainly a way of raising not only his profile, but also the profile of a foreign affairs picture that's not always been germane to the Republican Party, but is increasing in influence and is certainly aligned with the president's theory on foreign affairs. So I mean, look, I like it as a hot take. I like it as a theory you're throwing out there, but I don't know that I buy it. And I
have to tell you, if I were running if I wanted the presidency, or somebody had asked me, hey, think about running, the thing I would do was exactly what Tucker Carlson is doing right now, and it would give me keys to the kingdom, either kingdom I choose. It's very, very, very bright of Tucker Carlson.